Hello, thanks so much for joining me today for our collective New Moon in Cancer reading, which will be happening on Wednesday, June 25th, and will be carrying us through for the next couple of weeks until we have our first quarter moon happening around July 2nd. So this reading should be good from now until then. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Here I have the kind of signifier card for us, just so we remember that this is a reading for the new moon in Cancer. I'll put that up there just as a constant reminder. And then I also brought out my little selenite stone, so I'll have that here as well, just as a little companion for us. And with that, we can go ahead and get started. I did pull out my pastoral tarot for this because I think it's a wonderfully cozy deck that, to me, kind of has those Cancer kind of vibes. And honestly, I hadn't even noticed, but the backs even have like these little shells and stuff on them as well, which I think is perfect for Cancer. So let's go ahead and give the cards a shuffle and do our Celtic cross spread. So I've enjoyed doing these different moon phase readings. I think they're great, and I plan to continue doing them because I really enjoy them. I hope you do as well. Okay, one more little shuffle here. All right, so here at the center we have the Emperor crossed by the King of Cups. Above we have the Seven of Cups. Below we have the Hermit. The Chariot is behind. And before is the Two of Cups. So let me shuffle these down a little bit. This deck's cool too because it has that like panoramic view, landscape view. So kind of different. Okay, and then for the staff, we have Three of Cups, the Devil, Two of Pentacles, and then Three of Pentacles. All right, so let me put this deck to the side here. Okay, let's get into it. So, at the heart of the matter here, we have the Emperor being crossed by the King of Cups. And so these are two pretty intense energies. The Emperor connected a lot of times with Aries and that Aries energy. We've had a lot of squares with Aries and Cancer. So we have Saturn and Neptune in Aries right now, and that's been forming those squares with Jupiter, which is in Cancer at the moment. So interesting there. Cups is, a suit that is connected to all the water elements, so Cancer included there. So we do kind of here at the heart of the matter have a sort of square between these things just organically from the card spread, which is pretty interesting. And I think it just connects right that idea of rigidity with the Emperor, this sense of structure, of sometimes ego too that comes with it, a sense of willpower and strength, and all of that energy focused on, achieving goals or moving things forward, being crossed by the King of Cups, which is the king of emotions, and that inner life possibly of our emotional internal life. So kind of definitely we can see how that can be a challenge, right? When there's a feeling of structure, focus, kind of rigidity, a little bit almost like military type feeling is what I usually think of when I think of the emperor. And then, crossed by like all this wooey, like emotional, it's also coming from a place of strength because it's the King of Cups, but it's still very much so different energy than the Emperor. And so the challenge there is going to be mixing these two, using our emotions to also help us have this sense of grounded focus and determined focus to achieve the things we're trying to achieve. Okay, and so then here in the crowning position, we have the Seven of Cups. Beautiful image there of the beach. Definitely the water is coming through the little sand buckets, but her sand castle's not working out so great, right? She has all these tools around her, these wonderful buckets that can help her, but it's somehow the goal isn't being achieved, right? She's in the end here kind of using her hands, it seems like, to make her little mounds. So Seven of Cups a lot of times connected to Scorpio, and also this idea of having so many options and not really knowing which way to go. Um, Sorry, my dog was barking. So, like I was saying, Seven of Cups connected to an idea of having a lot of options and sometimes um, not knowing which way to go or what thing to choose because there are so many choices. Here in California, where I live, we have this wonderful restaurant, In and Out. And the beauty of their concept is the fact that they don't have a lot of choices, right? And sometimes less is more. And in this case, when you're having to make choices, two, three choices is wonderful. Seven choices, sometimes a little overwhelming. So it's a lot about streamlining. That's kind of the lesson that we want to think of when we have this. Here we can see, right, there's stuff in the clouds, like little sea creatures in the clouds. And so her mind might be in the clouds, our mind might be in the clouds, but we need to find a way to ground our dreams, to ground ourselves, to really look around and see what the best course of action is. And I think that connects well with this cross here in the middle because it's this idea of we have things we need to take care of, like with the emperor, but we might be a little obstructed by emotions or being tugged in too many places, at once. And so, also with the Seven of Cups, can be a sense of needing to have a better discernment between what's real and what's not, between illusion and reality, and that connects well as well with kind of this planet of Neptune, which is the planet of illusion. Again, that planet at the moment is in Aries, which is connected to the Emperor card there. So, another connection that I see there with that. Okay, moving on here in this bottom position here, we have the Hermit. And this a lot of times links up to our deep past, karma, the subconscious, things like that. So what's kind of going going on deep below the surface or in the deep past. And so we might be feeling a little, reclusive. We might be a little uncertain about the times, which is understandable. There's a lot of stuff going on at the moment. And we might want to be kind of pulling back within, which is another good way, I think, to connect this card to Cancer. It reminds me of like the hermit crab, right? Some of the hermit cards will have a little hermit crab there. And so the crab kind of does like to be reclusive and kind of doing their own thing. They're not very outgoing and flamboyant or, expressive in that way. They're a little, shyer, a little more quiet about how they do things, right, with the little crab there. So just something that's kind of coming from our deep past, and kind of a karma that we're sitting on at the moment, is this hermit energy. Some good things about this card are the connection to just that internal wisdom. And so, this great connection to our internal self and using that as a guiding light, like we see here. The hunter there, the sun might be setting or might be rising. It's unclear, but either way, he has this little light that he's carrying with him. And a lot of hermit cards have that. And so, it's a lot about that inner wisdom shining through in the darkness and guiding us in uncertain times. And so pulling that from within, to kind of forge the way forward there. And so I think it's a good card and a nice energy to have, for this, for really any any reading, but for this reading in particular. I like how it makes me think of that Cancer energy as well. Okay. And lots of cup energy, actually, water energy, I'm seeing in the cards as well. But okay, so in the recent past position here, we have the Chariot, which this card actually represents Cancer itself. And then from there, we move into the near future, which is the Two of Cups. And this is actually the first deacon in Cancer. The card that represents that. And so beautiful, again, Cancer energies coming through here for this reading. The Chariot is a lot about a balance of energies, which, we see here this man has a large load there that he's having to kind of manage and is being pulled by these strong horses. Um, some possible storm coming in the background there. But it's about balancing things, right? And being in control of our emotions in a way as well. Because Cancer is a very emotional sign, it's a water sign, and so emotions run strong. But it's a lot about having that command of ourself, command of our emotions, to be able to use that energy to kind of forge forward and then take charge and do what we need to do right during stressful, turbulent times. Connects well with this King of Cups energy here, right? This card that we have at the center of the matter there. So definite connection there. And from this, we move on, like I said, in the near future to the Two of Cups. Beautiful card there, a lot of times thought of as the actual lover's card because it's a coming together of two souls or two energies. And here, actually, we have a wedding of sorts happening. Um, it looks like they're coming together. There's a little church in the background, possibly being married out in nature. So, beautiful card there. So, it's a lot about coming together with others, with somebody in an intimate way, finding that kind of nurture and safe space with somebody else. So, great little start to the spread there. From here, we can move on to the staff cards. So, first one here kind of represents our personal attitudes toward the situation. We have the Three of Cups, which Three of Cups, a very positive card as well, also connected to Cancer, actually, second deacon in Cancer. And this card talks a lot about kind of getting together with others and celebrating or just enjoying life, enjoying the moment with friends or family. And here we see that in a beautiful way, these young children just enjoying a beautiful summer day on the beach with their dog, just kind of helping each other out. It looks like the girl's putting little stones or shells in one of the kids' cups. And so it's all about that, right? It's about coming together with your friends and family and just enjoying each other's company, just having a good time. And so that's the current energy towards the environment here. From here, we move on to the second card, which is this represents our immediate influences, like friends or family that might be having an influence on us, or just the immediate environment that has an influence or impact on us. And so here we have the Devil card. And so, interesting image here. I love how they portrayed this for this deck. Here we have like the shepherd there sitting under the tree, and he's relaxed. He's not concerned. He's just chilling in the back while the sheep are grazing. But obviously, in the foreground, we have an element of danger, right? The wolf who can eat all of these sheep, or some of them at the very least. So, very real danger there in the environment, which is, kind of interesting to think about. You know, just consider, I suppose, how people around you influence your emotions. Are they a force for good, or are they kind of, a little toxic maybe? And then, are we the wolf? Are we the sheep? Are the folks around us the wolf, or are they kind of the sheep? Are we the shepherd? So, kind of a lot of nice little elements there to pick up on, and a lot of different characters to consider. We don't want to be sleeping on the job, so to speak. We want to be alert during these times. We want to be aware of our surroundings. We want to be aware of what's happening around us. We don't want to be reactive because, as you can tell, the scene is very pastoral, very kind of, calm scene. Nothing bad is happening yet. In fact, the sheep is kind of like coming up to this wolf, like, hey, a little curious there. I don't know if that's smart or not, but the sheep's sensing that something is off. And the wolf is like, I kind of want to attack, but this sheep's not very, scared. So it's an interesting situation there, but it's good to see all of those elements and really consider them for our own life. We don't want to be. Um, Contributing to a toxic energy. We don't want to be confusing people. Sometimes it's just nice to take a moment and just, take stock of the situation. We don't always have to be putting our opinion out there if it's not going to contribute to the overall good. But also, at the same time, it is important to speak up when we see things that aren't right. So, kind of balancing that, going back to this chariot, balancing these forces, good and evil, yin and yang. Knowing when to speak and when to be quiet, kind of thing. And so, when to relax and when to be alert. So all those different opposing energies, just kind of feeling them out and understanding when to act and how to balance these things. At the same time, it's good to come back to our um, theme card here for the new moon in Cancer and really take that message to heart. Relax, relax. The environment might be sketchy. you know, there's a devil running around, possibly, or devil energy going around, but relax. All is well. All is well. Oftentimes predators attack when the victim or whatever is fleeing and running away. So just hold your ground, balance your emotions, and, just ride the wave, so to speak. Okay, from there we go on to the third card, hopes and fears. Here we have the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles is a lot about balancing, a balancing action. And here we actually see this young girl crossing this stream of sorts. There's a little way for her. There's a bridge of little stones that she can walk across, but she is carrying, it looks like maybe eggs or something in her basket. So she's carrying a, fragile item in her hands. She needs to be careful, but just taking things one step at a time, making sure she's balanced and, you know, moving across the path slowly. And so, Two of Pentacles is a lot about juggling things, making sure that we know our priorities and we aren't taking on so much and trying to do everything for everyone, but just taking things slow and steady, so that we don't drop our precious cargo there like her, right? Her nourishment, her resources, because Pentacles is a lot about resources, which again, during this time, lots of people's minds are on their resources, concern about finances sometimes, or, the cost of things, all of that, but just making sure that we're balancing ourselves and we're just taking things slowly. She's not running across or doing anything hasty. She's taking her time and making sure that she's being careful. So I think that's good advice as we move forward and move through these next couple of days and weeks, really. And then here in the final outcome, we have the Three of Pentacles. So beautiful card there, a group of folks coming together to repair a barn or just kind of decorate it or fix it up. And so, Three of Pentacles is a lot about teamwork, folks coming together to build something, and just having this sense of like recognition for the work that needs to be done, but also for the people that are doing the work. As you can see there, they're all supporting each other. The man's holding the ladder on the bottom there, and the other man's up there fixing that big circle, and the woman's kind of being the guide, like, okay, a little to the left, a little to the right, so they're all coming together for a greater purpose. And in the end, a barn is a great resource for all of them. And so it's coming together for a greater good, a greater cause that just helps everyone out in the long term. Little chickens there, which connects back to the eggs, right? So taking care of the things we need to, teamwork, so that we can all kind of survive. Um, all right, so great little spread here. Like I said, lots of nice water and specifically Cancer energy coming through. Lots of cups and also pentacles, a lot of pentacles as well. So just resources, our emotions, balancing those things out, not being too rigid, but also not just giving into emotions mindlessly. And then using our intuition and our internal light to carry us forward while being mindful of our own energy and what we're putting out there, as well as just soaking everything in, being mindful of what we're taking in as well. And so, all right, I'll go ahead and finish that there. I hope you enjoyed today's reading for the new moon in Cancer happening Wednesday, June 25th, and carrying us through the first few days of July there. So, until next time, I hope you're well. Bye.